Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is America Segura, and I have the privilege of serving as the Director of Communications at Visit Corpus Christi. I would like to take this time to thank each and every one of you for joining us for the Corpus Christi Speaks Insights from the Annual Resident Sentiment Survey presentation. Community is at the heart of everything we do as we seek to continue bringing value to our community through the benefits of the tourism industry. This is why last year, with the help of MMGY Global Travel Intelligence, we conducted a resident sentiment survey which received responses from over 2,000 Corpus Christi residents from all over. The responses went straight to MMGY for their expert analysis and interpretation. The survey dove into the perspectives of our diverse community on crucial aspects like tourism infrastructure and community pride. Today, we stand before you presenting the results that reflect the pulse of Corpus Christi. The voices of our residents have been heard, and their input is not only valued, but instrumental into shaping the future of our community. Let's go ahead and dive in. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce to you President and CEO of Visit Corpus Christi, Brett Otting, who is joined by our very own Managing Director of Data Science, Dr. Michael Imburgio.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all very much for coming. We're going to stand down here so we can see the slide. Appreciate you being here. This is an important day for us. This is a one-step and a multi-step process where there'll be some more announcements as well. But the resident sentiment survey, we did it 2 years ago with the same company. We actually added a couple slides, questions this year. But 2,000 local residents filling out a survey is pretty substantial. And you'll see in the slides that it was a good cross-reference of the entire community. To stress, this wasn't going out just to tourism partners. This was to the community in general. But there's 3 reasons why we wanted to do this. The first one is we wanted to gauge community pride in the community and how people feel about tourism and how people feel about Corpus Christi in general, how they feel compared to 2 years ago. We wanted to see what they know of Visit Corpus Christi as well. So in the slides, we won't see many of those today. We're only going to show you a portion of the slides, but you'll be able to get access to everything after. But we wanted them to see what do they know about Visit Corpus Christi and how we're funded and how we operate and our importance as an organization. Are we doing a good job telling the community that we exist and we can play a huge role in the growth and the success of Corpus Christi? And then also the third part is we wanted to ask some questions about what is Corpus Christi lacking. You'll see a slide in there that we talk about our strategic plan. And our strategic plan has a couple different strategies that maybe other tourism organizations around the country have, because every time we do a survey, every time we do an interview, every time we do an event, we continue to hear the same types of things that the community and our partners want. So what is it that Corpus is lacking? What does Corpus excel at from a tourism quality of place environment? What can we do better at? And that's where the real excitement comes in for Mike and I, because we're going to be doing something about that. We're going to look at and talk today about some of the lower scores, about the lower perceptions of Corpus Christi, and then how we're going to try to counter that and grow tourism in Corpus Christi. So 2,000 people. MMGY Global is the largest tourism agency in the world. They're a partner of ours. We do some work with them, and they do really great work. One of the reasons why they're so good is because their travel intelligence department. And then we also have Mike here with us, who does lead our data science program and stands toe-to-toe with MMGY's data department. And so when you put them together, we're able to do some really great things and some really interesting insights when it comes into the minds of people about tourism. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mike. And we're going to bounce back and forth on a lot of these slides.
Thanks, Brett. So to get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty before we get to the results, as both Brett and America mentioned, we did this survey in partnership with MMGY Travel Intelligence, who's an organization that does this kind of thing throughout the tourism world and throughout the country. They do a survey, for example, called Portrait of the American Traveler on tourism intentions and sentiments, which we share with a lot of you in the crowd regularly. They release it quarterly, we host it on our website. We find it very valuable, and so do a lot of people throughout the tourism world. So they were a really valuable partner to have for this, because they were able to receive the data, analyze it, and interpret it with the background of having done this for a bunch of other destinations as well. So really, we owe a lot to them for their help in this survey, but we're very excited to present the results. We got over 2,000 responses from residents, and the way that this worked is that ads were run on social media that anybody in Corpus Christi could see. So not tied to any specific page or platform, it was just ads run on the entirety of social media. Those responses then went straight to MMGY, who did their analyses and interpretation, and presented that to us. This is just the highlights. It was a very large survey. So on our website, and there will be a QR code at the end, you can find their entire results and interpretation that they've sent to us that we want to share with everybody as well. But we're going to go over the highlights today. So we'll start with just some high-level information about tourism. We ask these things as a tourism organization. We saw strong support for the ideas that tourism was important for Corpus Christi and that it encourages investment in the local economy. The margin of error on these results is 2%. So what that means is basically there are small increases compared to the last time we did this survey for those two questions. But the right way to think about this is there is still strong support rather than growing support. There is growing support at the bottom for the idea that we, Visit Corpus Christi, provide a valuable service to Corpus Christi's economy. That's an important question to us because that's central to our mission. We want to strengthen Corpus Christi through tourism. And we want to make sure that the community is seeing that the same way that we are, not just our opinions, but if we want to strengthen the community, they need to feel that they're being strengthened by what we do as well. So this is a really important question for us, and it's very exciting to see that significant growth in the percentage of people that agree. And we want to continue to drive the growth in the percentage of people that see us providing a local value and continue to ask this question in the future and monitor that growth. This is a really big slide. So what we did here was we listed a ton of attractions, and we said on a scale of 1 to 5, rate the quality of each attraction. Did the same thing the last time we sent out the survey. What these percentages are here is the percent of people that said 4 to 5 for each of these attractions, and that's considered, yes, high quality attraction. The big takeaway on this slide is that almost across the board, residents are rating the perception of quality of these attractions higher than they did the last time that we asked. And that's also great news. We work with a lot of you in the crowd, and a lot of these attractions, and we see all of the work that's been put into them. And so we're really happy to see that residents are seeing it as well. They're looking at these attractions and seeing them as higher quality as a result of that work than the last time that we asked them about this.
One of the things that's important here is Mike will know the percentage, but it's important for us to continue to educate the local industry, the locals that live here on the attractions. And most people think that we only are speaking to people outside of Corpus Christi, but what is the percentage of people, our social media followers that are local?
Instagram is 27%.
27%. So a fourth, and we're talking about hundreds of thousands of followers on our social media channels. And so you'll see littered throughout this presentation and a desire for us to continue to reach the locals as well, so they understand what there is, so they go visit it, and hopefully they post on social media, they tell positive stories as well. We can't do it alone. We can't be the only ones. Our partners, our attraction partners, can't be the only ones. We need the community to be involved as well, and that's why we spend a significant amount of time trying to reach the locals and educating them what is there to do in Corpus Christi as well. This here is 5 different questions, all kind of similar, but really what this is gauging is what the local perception is of funding incentives and initiatives for tourism development. And you see all 5 of them at minimum have the same growth over 2 years, if not the very bottom one you see there's a very significant one. So the questions right here are important because we are funded by hotel occupancy tax and a tourism assessment through the hotels. And so there's lots of other organizations. We don't receive all the hotel occupancy tax in the community. Some of you that are our partners receive it as well. But it's important to continue to asking these types of questions to ensure that our elected officials and our government understand that the community expects and desires funding and incentives to be utilized to bring more people to town, because when those people come, they spend money in the local businesses. And so this is a really important slide for us to continue to tell that story, that the community is okay, not only okay with it, but they expect us to spend money to bring people here. This is an example of the impact that we can make when we spend money on events. One of the largest question increases on that last slide was, should we utilize incentives to bring large groups here? This is a program that we have created at Visit Corpus Christi called the Group Incentive Program. We call it GIP. And so in the last year, you see on the left, we spent $403,000 incentivizing groups to come to Corpus Christi. These are convention groups, these are sports groups, these are mostly groups that go and stay and have their event at the American Bank Center, but they might, if it's a sports group, have it at a facility, they might have something at the Omni or anywhere else. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to find groups that are going to come to town, they're going to spend money in restaurants and attractions, go shopping, obviously stay in hotels, and bring that economic impact in. Of the $403,000 that we gave to groups last year, for every $1 of that, they spent $52 in local businesses. This is a substantial number, and you can see the economic impact that that has as well. So again, we give $1 to a group, and their attendees spend $52 in local businesses. And so this is something we're going to continue to do. We're going to continue to try to find ways to increase that pool of incentives so we can bring more individuals here. You probably saw last week the Business Professionals of America, 5,000 kids, Nicole? 4,000 kids and their parents and their teachers that were in the community. Businesses downtown were very busy. Restaurants were very busy. In 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we have Skills USA coming. That's 5,000 kids. 10,000 kids. 10,000 kids will be in this community. Almost every hotel in Corpus Christi will be sold out. Every business, every restaurant's going to be full during that time. And they come here because we incentivize them to come here, and we make sure that we take good care of them while they're here.
Before we move on from that idea, actually, one of the benefits of this that is not captured by economic impact too is that a lot of these people come back. We survey people who come to conventions and say, do you want to come back here for a leisure visit afterwards? And 7 in 10 say yes. So not only is this impact from the people that are coming here and spending their money while they're here, we're growing the audience in a way that is not marketing. It's by bringing people here and showing them what's great about Corpus Christi while they're here. On that note, it's one thing to ask people about the effects of tourism, and it's another to ask them about the growth of tourism. And so we asked questions specifically about that too. We are very intentional as an organization about how we grow tourism, and we want to make sure that we grow it sustainably. So we focus a lot on growing visitation during slower times of year. We want to become a year-round destination. We want to spread the impact of tourism throughout the entire calendar year, not just in spring break when we're going to get a big crowd coming in tomorrow, or during the summer, right? And so that's part of sustainable growth. So we asked that question, and the community seems to be on board with this. 74% of people said they agree with the idea of bringing people here during slower times of year. Also, about 74% of people said that the current positive benefits of tourism outweigh the negative benefits or negative impacts of tourism. And that's also important to us. That's part of the idea of sustainable growth. So this is a number that we want to continue to monitor again and make sure that as we do this survey in the future, we push that number up and people continue to see tourism as a net positive. We also wanted to give people the opportunity to say, no, we don't want growth. So we asked them, do you agree or disagree with the statement, tourism brings too many people to Corpus Christi? Only 15% of people agreed with this statement. So the majority of people did not agree with the idea that there's too many people being brought here by tourism. And again, growing sustainably will help keep that true. We don't want to overcrowd the city at all. We want to make sure that we have a net positive. And so when we grow tourism, we want to be intentional about the way that we do it. The other thing is tourism hits different parts of the city differently, right? So we broke that specific question down by the neighborhood in which the resident lived. And that's this slide here. There's some variation across neighborhoods, and that's good. It means we're getting a diverse perspective of different respondents. But the big takeaway for me is that in no neighborhood did more than 25% of people agree with that statement. So in every neighborhood, the majority of the people did not agree with the statement, tourism brings too many people to Corpus Christi. And again, that's good news, but we're going to continue to monitor that and make sure that as we grow sustainably, people continue to not agree with this question.
So if you've heard me speak around the community before, you've seen a slide like this, but this is the type of impact that tourism can make. These 3 businesses are 3 very popular businesses for everybody in this room because these are 2 of the more popular restaurants that we all like to go to, and then obviously our great aquarium. We asked the owners of the 2 restaurants and we asked the aquarium about 2 years ago, what percentage of your business comes from people that live farther than 90 minutes away? a tourist, right? And that's what those percentages are. So this is a multi-layered slide that talks, if you're talking about docks, all right, well, actually, let's talk about Water Street because this is a little more relevant right now. 60% of their business comes from tourism. Why is that important? That is important because Richard Lomax will also tell you that they wouldn't have taken the chance to build Elizabeth's, they wouldn't have opened El Camino if it wasn't for knowing that tourists were coming here and they were going to support his business as well. Why is that important? Because I love Elizabeth's. I've been to El Camino a couple times. We'll continue to go back. These are becoming places that we love to eat as well, and we can thank the tourists for helping keep them in business and helping these businesses continue to grow and improve their businesses that we all come to enjoy as well.
So on that note, this next slide, similar to the attraction slide, lists a lot of different parts of the city and says, how important is each of these things to your quality of life? There's two things that grew significantly here. One is the airport. Significantly more people are saying the airport is important to their quality of life than the last time we asked this survey. People's behaviors seem to match that. The airport had more employments than pre-COVID last year. And when you break down the statistics, a lot of that is being driven by more residents using the airport last year than before. The other thing that grew is restaurants. And that grew significantly to the point that it is now the top spot with beaches and what people consider important to their quality of life. And so we're going to have a couple of slides on restaurants after this because of this, but also because restaurants are important to visitors. So that golf cart right out there is our Gulf Coaster team. Throughout the spring and summer, that golf cart is going up and down the beaches, making sure that visitors are having a good time, they know where to go, and also surveying them about their experience here. One of the questions that we asked is very similar. How important is each of these things to you? And unsurprisingly, when you ask someone on the beach, how important is the beach to you? They say, yes, it's very important. So 97% of people said the beach was important to them. Joint top spot after that was restaurants. So this is exactly the kind of overlap that we look for as an organization because we can improve the lives of both residents and visitors when they're coming here. So this is a couple of questions that we had back to now the resident sentiment survey about restaurants. So we asked people on a scale of 1 to 5, how do you rate the quality of dining options within each of these categories? There's some growth in these different categories, and that's really good news. When you look at the ordering of these different categories, it's very similar to what we saw the last time we did the survey, with signature and upscale dining and farm-to-table dining being the lowest quality that people are rating compared to the other two. When we asked about variety, there was actually almost across-the-board growth, or actually across-the-board growth, which is excellent. So people are saying there's a wider variety of dining than there was the last time we asked them this question. When you look at the ordering of the categories, again, it's very similar to quality, with signature and upscale dining towards the bottom and farm-to-table dining towards the bottom. So the takeaway here is that people are saying there's a lot more variety of dining options than there was the last time we asked the survey, which is excellent news. They're also saying that compared to the other parts, the other kinds of restaurants, signature and upscale dining and farm-to-table dining is where we lack as far as quality and variety.
So this was interesting to us, and I'm going to go through a series of multiple slides here to get to a point. But at the same time that we were receiving the answers and the responses back from this from MMGY, we saw a couple chain restaurants in Corpus Christi close down. And the media told some stories asking, why this is, how do people feel about these restaurants closing down? And KIII put an interesting headline on theirs that said, what restaurants would you like to see come to Corpus Christi? And they had over 1,000 responses. And as we were sitting in the office and we were talking about what our results looked like, and then all these responses on KIII, we thought, well, maybe we should read through and see what people are saying. And what we saw are a lot of consistencies of restaurants that people are wishing that would come to Corpus Christi. We also noticed that there are restaurant names that are not in Corpus Christi, that there already is a restaurant like that in Corpus Christi. So again, how do we do a better job making sure that the community realizes that, well, what you really want is actually what this restaurant is, and it's a local restaurant. But also we want to see what is the holes that we have, knowing that the lower scores that we saw, the perception is that there's not as much quality and quantity of farm-to-table restaurants and higher-end options. And so we went through this, and Mike spent a bunch of time. Mike actually went through every single comment, and he looked at the highest number of consistency of types of restaurants and specific named restaurants. You can go to the next slide. And so what we're going to do after this is we're going to send another survey out. But the survey is not just about restaurants. What we did is, you see on the right side, you see we have, I think there's 5 questions on here. We're going to send a different type of survey out, and we're going to say, hypothetically, here's all the restaurants that seemed popular, the types of restaurants that seemed popular on that KIII article. Which ones would you like to have the most? And then we're also going to ask when it comes to shopping, and we're going to ask when it comes to entertainment. Again, other types of attractions. You see some different examples on there as well. What does that mean for us? You can go to the next slide. Well, what that means for us is that in addition to that, we also had an open-ended question where we told people at the end, type whatever you want. And what MMGY did is they grouped all those together and they tried to come up with a consistent theme on those responses. And then we looked at these responses and we said, man, this seems very similar to a document that we have in our office already. Next slide, which is our strategic plan. So we did our strategic plan over the summer last year, and we had 2 town hall events. We had thousands of surveys go out. The individual, the company that did the strategic plan with us had one-on-one interviews with multiple hotel owners, developers, city leaders, elected officials, and we invited all of you to an event at the university where we unveiled that report that was called a Destination Next Assessment. And we showed you what everybody felt in general for Corpus Christi from that standpoint, which isn't that different in some ways to the resident sentiment survey. But what many of you don't realize is that we actually took all those responses and we got into a room for an entire day with our board of directors and our staff, and that's how we built our strategic plan. And so if you look at the strategic plan, this is just the cover page, you see that there's specific instructions for us in here for destination development, for air service development, which we work a lot with the airport, for safety and sustainability, for making sure that there's things to do. These are the non-traditional things that tourism organizations often do, but we're taking up that task. We have now in our strategic plan a responsibility to try to help grow tourism development as well, not just the number of tourists that are coming here. So how is that relevant to what we just talked about? Well, in our strategic plan, it says go find more restaurants, go educate locals like the Lomaxes that own multiple restaurants and make sure that they understand what the community is asking for next. And then it is same with attractions. What attractions are we missing? What unique experiences are there in other cities that could go well here? We spend a lot of time already reaching out to those types of individuals. I spend time bringing them to town, driving them around town, educating them on why Corpus Christi might be a great option for their next franchise, for their next business. And we're going to speed this up now. So going back to the survey of the restaurants, the takeaway is we're going to send this out. We hope to get lots of responses. That'd be great to have thousands of responses there as well. And we're going to then look at those individually, and we're going to come up with 2 options. Number 1, is there someone local, is the primary. Is there somebody local that can build this, that's interested in building this? The community wants this type of restaurant or this type of attraction. Who's interested in doing that? And let's start local. And then number 2, if we can't find somebody, we're going to reach out. If it says, for instance, Topgolf is one of the examples on there. If people want Topgolf, we'll reach out to Topgolf and say, hey, the community wants this. What's your next step here? How can we get you to come and show some interest in Corpus Christi? Or if it's a restaurant or whatever it may be. So please, when this survey comes out, please share this because this could be very valuable to the future development for Corpus Christi as well.
This is my favorite slide. Community pride grew significantly compared to the last time that we asked this question. And there's a couple important things about that. This is measured by agree or disagree with the statement, I'm proud to live in Corpus Christi. The percentage of people that agreed with that statement increased from 52% to 59%, and that's a significant increase. The other very cool thing about this is that we start to see people moving from negative to neutral and neutral to positive. The percentage of people that answered, no, I'm not proud to live here, was only 12% this year. And that's great. I love to see this because there's a lot going on in the city and we're all moving in the positive direction. And what this survey is telling us is that residents are seeing it too. They're seeing that pride increase. And we want to continue to see that pride increase every time we do this survey. This is one of the most important questions we ask, and I was elated to see this result. And more than that, not only is pride growing, but people are more willing to talk about that pride. So this is the percentage of people that consider themselves ambassadors for Corpus Christi. And that's also increased. And the percentage of people that consider themselves ambassadors for Corpus Christi is now in the 70s. So again, people are now more proud to live here than they were the last time we did the survey. And they're more willing to talk about that pride with other people than the last time we did this survey. Now, that's important for residents, obviously, to feel proud about where they live. It's also important for visitors. There's a question that is not shown in this presentation, but it is in the survey results that are posted online, that says the majority of people who live here interact with visitors. And that means that the community pride and the willingness to be an ambassador for the community affects the visitor experience directly. I mean, when I go visit places, I want to know local opinions about places, right? And it makes a big difference to me when people are proud of these things that they're telling me about, and they're excited to tell me about where to go eat, and all of this. And this result, that people are more proud and more willing to be ambassadors, means that that conversation goes better in both directions.
Good. So this is a slide here from a company called Resonance Consulting. They're one of the top economic development consultants in the world. And every year they do a study called America's Best Cities. They do best small cities, best large cities. They also do Europe and a world one as well. But from a small city standpoint, Corpus Christi ranked 47th. This is cities of under 1 million people. So it's a pretty good number of communities. So surprise, Corpus is in the top 50 according to this ranking. And there's 2 companies in the country that are the top 2 when it comes to ranking cities. Resonance being one of them. And this is important because site selectors in economic development look at this. Businesses that are thinking about where their next place to be is, airlines looking at where they should be. Those are the type of businesses that are looking at this. So 47th, but we're talking about community pride right now, right? Look at the yellow down there. Corpus Christi ranked number 3 in Facebook check-ins and number 7 in the use of Corpus Christi type hashtags on Instagram. That's pretty awesome. And that's something that we need to continue to do, and that's going to be something that our team continues to try to push out more. We know that there's plenty of negative social media talk when it comes to Corpus Christi. There's websites devoted to it, and there's other people that's just what they do. We need everybody that wants to be positive to continue to drown those out, and we're doing a great job. We're being recognized that we're doing as good as anybody, but this is the importance of trying to continue to educate the community on what there is to do here, making sure that they're prideful, making sure they've attended our attractions, they've went to the better restaurants. Believe it or not, Mike has data that shows that there's a decent amount of people from Corpus Christi that have never been to the beaches, which is crazy, but it's true. How do we get them to the beach? All it takes is one time and they'll fall in love with the place. So next slide. So this final slide here, this is an example of if you want to follow our social media accounts and share some of the stuff that we do, we have a full-time team that are coming up with content and sharing it. So you see all the different social media accounts that we have, but you see the impact that we're making. There's the 27% are residents, and the number of, this is just on Instagram, 44,000 followers just on our Instagram accounts. And we try to go around to businesses every day and talk to new businesses and existing businesses and grow, improve, and update our social media and share that out. So please, if you're not following us on social media, please do that. And then also share that as well. And let's work together to try to keep growing the pride in Corpus Christi. Next slide, I believe, is the end. So here's a QR code. America would tell you also that while we were up here talking, there's an email going out, right, America? There's an email going out that has a link to this. So I believe you will all be on there because that's how you found out about coming to the event in the first place. But the QR code, so at this point, we'll answer any questions that anybody has. It's not working. We'll send it in the email. Any questions? No questions? Okay. Well, thank you all very much for coming. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your continued support in trying to be a positive force in Corpus Christi. We know that that's what we're trying to do as well, but it takes all of us working together. And have a great Thursday. Thank you.